want everyone to know that. And so there may be something going on the night before at work or at home or with something else. And as the stress of the day piles up from when you were up the day before until you went to bed, sleep on it and take the attitude that it's a great morning to be awake and alive, and then tackle it then.
Welcome back to In the House podcast, everyone. I'm Toni Singh.
And I'm Jenny Woon.
We have two very special guests in person in studio today. Gary and Dina from the Pooni Group. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hi.
Hi. I haven't seen you in a while.
No. 2 months? Is that a long time?
It's too long. It's too long for you to grace me with your presence. So guys, for our listeners, we have a lot of listeners that are in the real estate industry and also very interested in entrepreneurship, all things zoning, fun stuff like that. Can you share with our audience what it is that you guys do, who you are, and we'll start there. And then we'll ask you a bunch of questions.
Yeah, sure. I'll start and I'll turn over to Dina because when it comes to real estate or communications in an urban environment, we do a little bit of everything. The main thing the Pooni Group does is work on major development approvals. And so there's a technical piece to it, like an urban planning technical piece that planners take on. That's one part. There's a public piece to it. It can be communications, public relations, public engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the other part. And because the nature of our work is related to government approvals,
Mm-hmm.
there is a government piece. So those are the three things. The company has continued to grow and morph and change because our industry is super dynamic, right? Urban growth is dynamic and then it changes. And as our cities grow and change, our company has had to do the same thing. And so Dina's helping to lead two other parts of the company. One is a marketing management PR piece, which can be development related or non-development related. And that's Pooni Group Marketing. So that's a separate entity. The more fun thing that Dina leads, and I'll let her speak about it, is our foundation. So she runs the Pooni Group Foundation, which allows us to be a big part of a number of small community organizations. We're sort of focused in on grassroots efforts.
Good. Let's hand it over to Dina because I know it's a really important and special project to you both. Do you want to tell us more about what you're working on right now with the foundation? And I think the foundation came out of an interesting health story for you, Gary, right? And you guys really try and imbue the whole balance piece, I believe, within your organization and in your existing business relationships.
Yeah, interesting health piece. We can get to that after.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the foundation? Or?
Well, we want to talk about the foundation, but it's important for our viewers because
it's just an interesting health piece is like an understatement.
Well,
died
but
and
this
came
is
back
the
to
thing.
life.
Our listeners want to hear that because a lot of them have been grinding really hard for many years. Some of them are just starting out and then they get caught in the exact same thing. So one of the topics Jenny and I have really discussed a lot on this podcast is not burning out. How do we actually prioritize health while having the success in the work sphere along with personal life? So you guys are perfect to speak to that. But let's talk about
we can both speak to that. Dina should talk about the foundation first.
Okay. I do want to go back to that story because I do feel like Pooni Group Foundation was birthed from that story, right? It all originated when Gary had a major pause. I want to say forced on you, but
it was.
Yeah,
it was forced.
Yeah, I had a massive sudden heart attack and went into cardiac arrest. And the short version is those who have this condition, widowmaker heart attack with a cardiac arrest, it's called 100% occlusion, which is your heart's 100% blocked, have a 0.01% chance of survival. Does that 1 out of 1,000, which is basically zero. So I was gone for almost 4 minutes, and just through a whole series of coincidences and luck. And when our health system uh, works well, it works really well, and got into ER just in time. I had gone to cardiac arrest, and then they brought me back. I was in a coma for a couple of days, and woke up, remember everything about dying, and that whole feeling. And the last thing I saw was just staring at my family as everything kind of just faded. So that was coming back was quite euphoric and also traumatic to have lived through that. So I'm reminded of it every day. I think of it every day. And Dina and I have worked together for many years. She's had half a dozen different roles in the company. And when my health came back, was starting to come back, we hit COVID. So there was a long pause there as I was in recovery. And Dina also came back to the company.
Yeah.
And we just started thinking about life, priorities, the types of things that we would want to be doing. And one of the reasons that we'd always have become such great friends was just our outlook on life was the same. Dina's had things happen in her personal and family life as well. And that led to us wanting to do work in the community and helping a number of organizations that were close to us. For example, the cardiac unit at VGH and VGH in general, they saved my life. So how do we do that? And then Dina said, well, maybe we legitimize our existence and have a foundation.
So it really was born out of your personal experience.
Yeah. Which is why I think that origin story is, quite poignant and needs to be expressed.
Thank you for sharing that.
Did you find any signs or signals prior to you having your heart attack?
Yes. If you live long enough, you will, there's a good chance you'll have chest pains in your life or angina and just sort of that constriction. So I had that about a week before. I was feeling pretty tired for 6 to 8 months. I'd gone to the doctor a few times. And because I was working out and I was working quite a bit, it just seemed like everything was okay. And when you hit middle age, even early middle age, when you're not feeling well and your body is saying that you're not well, you want to think you're okay. And you want doctors to tell you you're okay. And you're better off being cautious and getting checked and saying something is wrong and I'm not leaving until everything is checked out okay. So that's what happened. That's funny because the next question I usually get is, what did you see when you were gone?
Well, what we would like to go there, but you said something important too that I just want to touch on for a sec, because I also understood before when you were sharing this story with me that you were working quite a lot. And it was like that whole stress, almost hustle culture where it's like, yeah, I'm working out, so I should be good. I'm doing a lot with work. We're expanding that, so we should be good. But there's a portion of stress there that's not really acknowledged. So you just kind of work through it.
I think it's probably rooted in who I am, how I grew up.
Cultural?
Kid of immigrants. And just watching my parents work and work and work. And so that, the incredible work ethic that my dad had, the caregiving and kindness of my mom, I tried taking the best of both from them. They taught me a lot of lessons, but it kind of took it to the extreme. The reason families immigrate to this country is to make sure that their kids don't have to work that hard or to go through that. And I was continuing to try and replicate that. It's a learned behavior, observed behavior, and I just continued pushing and pushing, and having any level of success would never be enough.
The not enoughness.
Yeah, right. And around that time too, I mean, I guess
Dina, you were around. You saw me.
Yeah, leading up to it. Gary and I first met in Toronto. I'm from Toronto. And my first role with the company was in Toronto to open up their satellite office there. And he was just like flying back and forth all the time. Like one day turnaround, all the time. And I was like, this is the busiest. I've worked for other, CEOs but I was like, this is the busiest guy I've ever met.
And there's a time change there too. You're like, oh, it's only 3 hours. It's okay. I can make that other meeting.
Yeah. My son was young at the time, so I just didn't want to be away for 2 days. So I would fly in, be able to take him to school in the morning, fly into Toronto, limited sleep, take a bunch of meetings. Remember I passed out on the street?
Yes. I wasn't there for that, but Katie, I think, was there for that.
Yeah, Katie was there. She caught me. I remember Dina's friend, Katie.
How have you redefined hard work for yourself?
I would say I still work hard. It's about
more delegation.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, when you find good people, when you find great people, and Dina's one of them, has an incredible future with us and has been super loyal to the company. Blair, who's the COO, Blair Chisholm, she runs a big part of our company as well. Judy Fang, our CFO, they're like the two longest people on the Pooni Group side. I think when you have people like that, you make sure that they're hopefully feel like they're treated like partners and owners. So when you have the great people, you have to keep them. So that's it doesn't mean that we don't have it out, that we don't debate, argue. But then when we come to a consensus, maybe not always agreeing on everything, but at least on the path forward, then we're quite united. So when that happens, so the hard work kind of gets spread around. That's number one. Number two, not working to a point where you feel like you're punishing yourself. Right? Like I look around here and I see like guitars, and I feel like every rock musician in the world's had some sort of issue or hardship or something that they're always trying to push and fight through. So there's a moment of like letting go, because you're not going to get into world domination, right? I'm a big Springsteen fan, and there's a song that Springsteen says that the poor man wants to be rich, and rich man wants to be king, and a king isn't satisfied until he rules everything.
Ooh.
Right? So at some point there, you have to, that cycle needs to be broken. The last thing is this. I didn't know that health is wealth until I went through what I went through. Right? That's the last piece. I mean, Dina, you work extremely hard too, and you still are.
Well, I was just going to say, I did know that because I grew up knowing that, having had a mother who was sick with MS since before I was even born. So I always knew health was number one, most important thing, utmost, or else you can't enjoy anything else.
That's
it, right? So, with the hardship of having that situation, that was the beautiful wisdom that I was able to have early on, So.
And I am going to ask that second question. What did you see when you were in limbo or passed over for a bit? And then we do have to go back to what Dina's working on with the foundation.
No worries. Yeah. This is very
and just
I haven't forgotten
knowledge.
Well, just to finish what Dina was saying, I would say she lost her father too more recently, and I'm so proud of everything she's done with our foundation, and this work in the community has also become a corporate extension. Like her parents would be so proud of everything that she's done for our company. She's got a 3-year-old, an amazing 3-year-old. So I think that in terms of like defining hard work, having kids, right? And like my son is my greatest career aspiration. So that's where the hardest work needs to focus. So that's the last piece on hard work, right? All this stuff that we do on the real estate side is just secondary. I'll tell my clients who get really concerned about process delays and financial issues. I know it's extremely hard, but I tell them, hey, you're still rich. Right?
We're just talking about that.
You're going to be a little less rich today.
It's probably costing them a lot of money, but they're still rich.
Yeah, like most of them, not all of them. I know it's like super hard, but it's, hey, you just made a little bit less money today. We got to keep things in perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did I see? I didn't see, there was no harps and halos and people with wings flying around. I didn't see that. Equally, I didn't see a red guy with horns and a tail and fire everywhere. So thankfully I didn't see that either. So like the moments before cardiac arrest, take the seconds before you fall asleep, and that level of stillness and calmness, stretch that into maybe like 20 seconds, maybe like 20, 30 seconds, something like that. So that kind of becomes extended. And I went from like my whole body kind of sunk into itself because I guess your blood pressure just drops. The whole thing, like the movies, I'm cold, I'm getting cold. Yeah, that happens. Feel like you're going to pass out. And then the massive chest pains that I was having and the discomfort, everything just disappeared entirely. I felt nothing. Like, but your brain still works.
But did you feel afraid or you just felt calm?
No, it's pretty calm.
Okay.
It's like falling asleep.
Okay.
The fear and everything is before that moment.
Yeah.
And so someone explained this to me, and I don't know if this is medically true. It's just that your body is now just gone into mode of just keeping your brain and heart going. So I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't move.
Wow.
Couldn't move my limbs, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just like looking around, and Minna was talking to her sister on the phone, who's a nurse. And I look over, I was just staring at my family. And the last thing I just felt compelled to do was to stare at my son. And I was just looking at him. And poor kid looked so scared as he was looking at me. And then when all that feeling kind of left my body, I was like, oh man, something's going on here. And I just felt compelled to look at him one last time. And then a black line, it was like a curtain dropping from top to bottom, just went just like that. And as it dropped, I heard the flat line of the monitor.
You did? Wow.
And then I said to myself, fight this. I didn't know if they were putting me on anesthetic or something, but I knew something was up. And that was it. They had to do CPR. Obviously, don't remember. They couldn't bring me back for about 4 minutes. Apparently, there was mayhem going on.
Of course.
That when this was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So much of my poor family having to like watch through this.
Yeah.
So I and then woke up 2 days later.
What was your first thought when you woke up?
I saw white. Your hearing comes back first. Hearing was the last thing it went. And then I heard a series of beeps of machines. And so I heard that. And I look up and it's just lights everywhere. And because I'm staring right up at it, I'm intubated. I can't talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I woke up and I was like, all right. Am I here? Wiggle my fingers and toes. Make sure I could still move. I did that because looked at the clock and I was like, oh, it's 1:30. Is this like an hour later? It was the blackest of black for that whole time I was out for 2 days. Nothing, no memory of anything. And I looked around and I was like, oh, family's all here. Everyone got here pretty quick. And and then that was it. And then right after that, I had this thought came across my brain right after doing all this. Within 30 seconds of waking up, it was like, oh, that's why Dad passed away early, so I could make it. And I have no idea where that came from.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I went somewhere. I know if it just came through my subconscious. So I've just been trying to do some reading of people who've had death experiences and come back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that's happened.
We were talking about this right before you guys got here. It was unrelated because I didn't know we were going to go into depth about this story.
Yeah.
It's just lucky that we all get to hear your story.
This is so like the opposite of real estate talk.
No, I know. But you know what? It's what matters because life matters.
Yeah.
And we were just saying too, it's true. It's like the real estate stuff, there's always something that happens. There's always a problem that requires a solution. That doesn't end. Mm-hmm. But the health component and the joy component, it's just so important. It's more important than anything.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, have you ever heard of Next Level Soul podcast?
No.
My favorite podcast, aside from ours, but Next Level Soul, he interviews a lot of guests that have had NDEs. They've passed over and then they've come back to life. There is a common theme. A lot of them see similar things. Not everyone has the same experience, but it is very interesting. Very interesting. So if it's on YouTube.
Oh, really?
You might find that. I'll send it to you. Anyhow.
What's YouTube? I'm very tech unsavvy. I referred to
I'll tell you later.
I referred to what? Kids on the World Wide Web today.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You like to say you just like to say the words World Wide Web.
I do. Whenever I'm getting a t-shirt that says that. Hey D, so you knew me before for a number of years and now is there something different?
Yeah, well, we'll get into that.
Oh no, Go ahead. Go there. Dina, take it away.
Well, that was the whole reason we had to discuss this first because of this, he prioritized philanthropy. He prioritized wanting to really give, not that he never did before, but he had a talk with me. I was on mat leave actually, because while I was, bringing up my baby, he had thought about it and said, I don't want to be doing this off the side of my desk anymore. What I mean by this is all of his philanthropic work or any work like that. Mm-hmm. I want somebody in a role who can really take it on and make it something and shape it. And I feel like you'd be great for that. And, me being this like new mom, I was like, oh my God, that's like a perfect job. And I was thrilled to be able to take that role on when I came back in May 2022.
Okay.
And so I do think that him giving me that role and really, making this official was because of his experience and realizing, okay, like no more sweating the small stuff, no more prioritizing work over the more meaningful things in life.
Like life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was right on board with him with that, having also just had a baby. And so I stepped into that role and we grew it from a couple of scholarships to now we have 23 scholarships with post-secondary and secondary schools across Vancouver and on the island. So that's sort of our starting point was with the scholarship work. And then we also, of course, we're supporting the VGH cardiac division. Well, first, because they saved Gary's life. And secondly, any type of cardiac support is so important, even with the AED units that have been put up around the city so that people, if you see somebody going into cardiac arrest, you can jump in and grab one of those units that are open and in visible places and help them. And then we dived into meal programs for children.
I love that.
Yes. Which is like I love it so
It makes me so sad when they're hungry.
Right?
They deserve food. Yes.
Especially as a parent.
I know.
Yeah, no, that's a really near and dear to my heart for sure. And so one childcare facility needed help with a breakfast program because they were noticing that kids would show up with their lunches and they'd eat their lunch for breakfast.
Yeah, they were hungry. They didn't have anything in the morning.
Yeah. And so then, obviously they were left lacking for the rest of the day. And so we were like, yes, absolutely. That program is on the island. It's with an organization called Fernwood Energy. And then there's another one that's a snack program. So just providing snacks throughout the day which is in New West in the Queensboro area, Columbia Inn Daycare Society.
My home neighborhood.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Gary's hometown. And and so with them, it's the same sort of idea in getting sponsors from our networks to help. And it's so rewarding. I went and toured their facility recently, and like these 3 to 5-year-olds gather around me in a semicircle and just like give me this thank you card with their. I was just like,
don't make me cry right now. I'm super pregnant.
I know, right? I was like tearing up, looking at all these kids. Like I love this so much. Yeah. So that's been really special. And then we have all these other initiatives that we help with, like neighborhood groups in the city. We did the Fraser Street Banner Project and help, raise funds for their new banners that they wanted.
Dina, this sounds like the best job in the entire world.
Gary always tells me, he was like, Dina's got the best job
in the best
company.
job ever. I should leave real estate.
Work for Gary.
Well, it's. I think I was telling Dina and a few others. Most of the staff comes into my office first thing in the morning and they say, "You're the world's greatest boss."
Dina's laughing.
I can't believe how privileged I am to work here. That's usually the first thing they do when they come in.
It's like roll call.
Yeah, they do. And they come in early, actually. And they come in half an hour early just to say that.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not in the office and I'm not there, they still come into my office and say that.
They wait.
That's nice.
Yeah. I just want to thank everyone on my team.
And that's like, sorry.
No, we can still
continue.
We can still talk about.
Continue. This is very
I even
exciting.
have a mug that says "World's Greatest Boss." When you have something that says something like that on a mug,
it must be true.
It's true.
Who bought it for you?
Amazon.
Yeah.
The internet bought it for me.
The World Wide Web.
Oh my god!
It just magically appeared at my door.
I have to ask this.
The matching T-shirt should be coming soon, Dina.
Oh yeah.
Hint.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead, Jay.
There's Christmas coming up.
Yeah.
Father's Day coming up next year.
Lots of opportunities.
Yeah. But I do have to ask, so much of this philanthropy, I can't say it.
It's a hard word. Philanthropy.
And involvement with your community. I can see that the public can be misconstrued that you're working for the developer. So, how has your connections with the community changed since the foundation has been born?
There's corporate giving, I would say, and then there's philanthropic giving. Corporate giving is one of our clients, any corporate entity that wants their name known corporately. So there is a business piece to it as well as a giving piece to it. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with any of that. If a developer wants to say, I'm building in a community, I want to show that doing business in this community is important to me and I will support some of these local causes, great.
Mm-hmm.
On the philanthropic side, which is the majority of what Dina does, there may be some corporate giving, but over 80% of it is just pure philanthropic, is that we have the ability to help and that's it. So why not help VGH and the cardiac unit there for having saved my life because they will save somebody else's. And at some point, this may end up coming back to us corporately, fine. But it is a thank you and it's to ensure that if there's a little bit that we can do in money and awareness, that if it saves someone else's life, great.
Yeah.
The meal program and to the snack program in Queensboro grew up in a very blue collar setting. We were growing our own food on our farm because it was that difficult for us to get by as a family. And this neighborhood is still very blue collar. And if we can invest in our kids, make sure that they're fed and that they have the security of food. They're in a very secure environment with these educators, very special type of human, right? That works in caring for our kids. So that is to ensure that right now. We can help out in my home neighborhood of Queensboro. I grew up right on the edge of Queensboro that we're able to help there. Great. That's philanthropic. The scholarship program is based on the fact that the Whitecaps made such an impact in my life when I graduated high school and won a scholarship. It was one of 4 people, and they paid for a year of tuition. And it allowed me to work that summer and to be ahead and put myself through undergrad without having to put this strain on my parents.
Yeah.
So I could work in the summers and put money aside. So I was never behind. And now I have the opportunity to help other kids like that. So it's not a lot of money, it's a little bit, and it's enough to help a little bit financially, but then to also give them an incredible boost in their confidence. And their criteria is generally the same. You don't need straight A's, but if you got about a B average, so you're working extremely hard, you've done some work in the community, persevered through some hardship. That's the criteria. So and so we're able to do that, and Dina's been able to grow it. We partnered with the Canucks Alumni Foundation, a group that Dina and I both sit on the board of. And so we've named them after former players that have done a lot of work in the community. They're named after them. We're just a funder of the award. The profile is really attached to those players. And so it's not about us. It's just ensuring that those kids have some financial means and also some confidence.
Yeah, we have about 8 awards with Vancouver Canucks Alumni Foundation.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we kind of grow it on a...
Yeah, and I also want to say that, okay, corporate giving versus philanthropic giving, but at the end of the day, you have no idea what your giving is going to do, how it's going to affect the person who receives it, how it may find its way back to you in the future, and that's the magical part about it. So, I don't think it's beneficial to look at it from an ROI kind of standpoint.
Absolutely.
I think you need to look at it as the universe works in mysterious ways, and you have no idea how this will come back and touch you in the future.
I mean, I think if you're going with the mindset that you're possibly making someone's life a little bit easier, a little bit, like just giving them that gift, you don't know where it's going to take them. It's an opportunity. Opportunities are priceless. That's enough.
Yeah.
The other stuff's just icing on the cake. If and when, even if you heard what it actually did for them, it's a really big deal.
That's right. Yeah.
We have a strong working relationship with the Whitecaps Soccer Club now and have been a part of their network. People will see us and our team around the stadium or with the Whitecaps, and they were like, "What's your affiliation with the team?" And we're just supporters of the club. So here we are working with them now and have become informal business community ambassadors for them. And I swore that as years went on, that if I ever had an opportunity to pay it back or to meet Bobby Lenarduzzi, who's one of the classiest people in the history of this province, and to thank him for having put this check in my hand, that I would. And then Bob saw something in me and pulled me back into just doing some volunteer work and helping with the club. So Dina's right. The universe does work in mysterious ways. And when you're putting out positive energy, there's going to be positive energy that will come back your way. Not always.
And it's doing so without the expectation of it benefiting you in some way. It's for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different forms too.
I know. I love this conversation. Oh, this just made my day.
Good.
But I guess for each of you, if you are going to leave our audience with a parting message, let's go. It can be about business. It can be about life. I think life's more exciting than just like talking about real estate. But if you could leave them with one thing each, what would it be? It's very broad, so you have full reign.
Oh, if I could leave them all with $1 million so they could retire, I would.
Oh, I would accept that.
I was just going to impart wisdom, but
wisdom. It could be anything, or even in regards to the foundation, what you guys are working on next that you maybe want them to know about.
Well, first and foremost, the foundation can be found at poonigroupfoundation.com. You can look at all the programs and initiatives we have going on there. We're always adding more. Right now, we're in a big time of transition, so we're not in heavy action mode right now. But, rest assured, going into 2025, we'll have more stuff on the go once again. But yeah, no, any and all attention and support to this foundation is welcome, and reach out to me. You can find my contact there too.
Okay.
I've got more than one thing, maybe three things.
Go ahead.
One is remember that every day is a great day to be alive. I'm very happy to wake up every morning. That's a great start.
Grateful.
Yeah. And so I want everyone to know that. And so there may be something going on the night before at work or at home or with something else. And as the stress of the day piles up from when you were up the day before until you went to bed, sleep on it and take the attitude that it's a great morning to be awake and alive, and then tackle it then. So that's just one piece of advice. I'm very happy to wake up every morning. Number two is a lot you can accomplish in this world through kindness. So much. And there's a lot that happens in this city that is unkind, that is cruel, that is petty, that is small-minded. So pull yourself out of that, whether it's in business, whether it's in politics, whether it's in your life. There's just a lot of negativity. So I would pull out and use the lens of just being kind first. And lastly, we've launched our own podcast. And I think it'd be great to have the two of you there, because we don't focus on anything that is work related. It is about good people doing great things in this city. And there's so many of them. And the two of you you're doing that with your work and with your families. Toni, you're expecting child number 3.
Wowzers.
Right?
We're excited.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the most exciting life journey that you'll be on. And I think mothers would love to know the journey from kid number 1
to
gosh.
Number 2
to number 3, and how your life has changed.
There's some PTSD there.
Because where I'm getting at with this
her next question is how many hours does she get
of sleep?
No, podcast hours.
Of sleep. Yeah, that's a perfect question to ask.
See?
Sorry.
Because that's why you would have to be on our podcast, because I think that some of the greatest people on this planet are mothers. Moms are the best, the good moms. They are just the best. My mom is ill right now. I'm concerned with who's going to take care of our seniors population. And I think there's room for public health seniors care. I think there's room for private seniors care, because we're just so far behind. I'm so grateful for the care that my mom has. And so the third piece is just be nice to your moms.
Moms rule.
Just be nice to your mom.
It's the fourth piece, though.
When we have her, I want to definitely co-host that one, because
we'd love to come on the podcast. Thank you for thinking
Natalie
of us.
would love that too, right?
Yeah,
she's got 3.
She's a power mom too.
We should exchange war stories.
Yeah.
I think it's just for you. I think it's just three of the best moms that I know.
What's the name of your podcast?
It's the Pooni Cast.
The Pooni Cast.
Oh gosh,
I love it.
You guys are making me cry so much. What the heck?
It has a really good jingle. I thought that our jingle is good.
It is. It's good people doing great things in the city, and there's no real estate talk. There's no political talk. There's no work talk. There's so much positivity in this city that we want to make sure that voice gets amplified. And why not have some of the greatest moms in the city on it? Like the two of you.
Thanks, Gary. Happy to be there.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to round us out?
Let's do 3 quick questions.
We'll do
one word.
Okay.
1 word answers.
Yeah.
We just like to play games for fun at the end of the podcast.
Go ahead.
Okay. What is one word that describes you? One each.
We're going to describe each other, describe ourselves.
Yeah, because that would be a very different word, I feel
describe
like.
each other. One word.
Wow, one word is tough.
Like, can we just, they describe us and then we describe ourselves.
Yeah, okay, do that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, you go.
One word to describe myself, I would say amazing.
I agree. And what about Dina?
Dina's kind.
Okay. One word to describe Gary, supportive. Describe myself, tough.
Ooh.
But not in a bad way.
No.
Like kind of like fruit leather, like
I love fruit leather.
Jerky.
No.
So I'll last through the
like resilient,
storms.
but like tough.
Resilient.
Got it.
Okay. No, Dina's tough. She is.
We'll have to hear more about that on your podcast.
Because you're kind and you're a badass. You're both.
It's a good balance.
Both, right?
Okay, we didn't actually pre-prepare rapid fire, so now we have
you're
to
like
be real
John
quick.
Wick.
Oh, I like that movie actually.
Right?
Yeah,
that just
a good
goes
one.
crazy killing people, but also loves puppies.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay. What is the meaning of life? One word. Okay, you go first.
Connection.
Energy.
Ooh. Do you guys read a lot? What's your favorite book of all time?
Women Who Run with the Wolves.
Oh,
mine too.
Yes.
Home Run for Homer.
I've never read that book.
For Homer.
Because you're not in grade 3 anymore. Home Run for Homer. I actually found it. One copy of it. I got to find where it is. If you go to Hamilton Elementary, just on the edge of Queensboro in the Hamilton neighborhood, I signed that book out repeatedly, probably from grade 3 to grade 7. It's about a kid who was trying to play baseball and was terrible and got mocked by his friends for always striking out. Somehow had the perseverance to continue working through it. And it came down to the championship game, some type of equivalent, and hits the game-winning home run. So it's this story of a kid who just persevered through some hardship and
I'd
made
get
it.
that for my son and read it with him at bedtime. Thank you for that.
You can find the copy.
No, I'll find it.
Yeah,
if Gary returned it.
Yeah, you'll find it somewhere.
Her word is resourceful.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we really appreciate you both coming down, especially in person today too. And we know that we're juggling everyone's schedule. So thank you for being on today and imparting wisdom on our audience. I think they're really going to get a lot out of it because it reminds us of what's important.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having both of us. And good luck with motherhood number 3.
I'll talk to you. I'll be in touch.
You're a great mom.
January. Thank you.
I'm a January baby too.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.